My name is Eli Carter, and for most of my life, I carried a weight that I couldn't name. A quiet emptiness I was too young to understand, but old enough to feel. Because when I was just a little boy, my mother walked out of our lives and never came back. I don't remember her voice, her face, or even the way she laughed. And my father, a man of very few words, never spoke about her. Not once. When I asked, he would just say, "She's gone." And that was the end of it. So eventually I stopped asking, stopped wondering, and accepted that the silence was all I had. We lived in a worn-out wooden house on the edge of a sleepy town in Georgia, right by the river where the water moved slow and quiet. Just like our lives. No visitors, no noise. Just the sound of wind and water and the distant hum of engines from my father's tiny auto repair shop. He worked from sunrise to long after sunset, fixing old trucks and rusted sedans with grease-stained hands and tired eyes. And when he came home, he'd wash up, eat his dinner in silence, and head straight to bed while I sat alone in the dim light, reading books, staring out the window, or walking along the riverbank, pretending I wasn't waiting for someone who would never return. At school, I was invisible. Not bullied, not loved. Just there. While other boys joked and wrestled and shared stories about games or girls, I sat in the back, did my work, and walked out as soon as the bell rang. A few kids tried to be friendly, maybe out of curiosity or kindness, but I kept them at arm's length because I believed what my father always said. Don't count on people, son. They leave. And I did believe him. I had seen it with my own eyes. So I didn't chase friendships, didn't smile back at girls who looked my way, didn't laugh at their jokes or answer their questions, because I thought it was all fake, just noise that wouldn't last. One day she's holding your hand. The next day she's holding someone else's. And I didn't want to be part of that game. I told myself I didn't need anyone. I had books. I had work. I had silence. Years passed like fog rolling over the hills. Slow, still, and cold. I finished school, didn't go to college, didn't leave town. I started helping my father in the shop full-time. Every day was the same. Wake up early, fix cars, eat dinner, sleep, repeat. Life was quiet. Life was safe. I didn't feel happy, but I didn't feel sad either. I thought that's just what life was. Simple, uneventful, and safe from heartbreak. And then, one morning, something changed. It was just another Tuesday. I was under the hood of an old Chevy, hands covered in oil, engine hissing like a tired old man. When she walked into the shop, a girl I'd never seen before, standing in the doorway like she belonged there. Her name was Claire Monroe. She wore this faded denim jacket and boots that looked like they'd walked through 1,000 stories. Her car had broken down. Something simple, maybe a belt or a hose. I don't remember. I didn't even look her in the eye. I just wiped my hands and asked, "What's wrong?" She explained. I fixed it. She said thank you. I nodded. I thought that was it. But she didn't leave. She looked around the shop, then at me, and asked, "Do you like working here?" I didn't answer. I didn't like small talk. She smiled and said, "You're quiet." I didn't respond, but her voice wasn't annoying. It was soft, kind. She left eventually, but not for long. The next day she came back, not with a broken car, just to watch. I frowned and asked, "Why?" She just shrugged. I like watching people who are good at what they do. I shook my head and went back to work, thinking she'd get bored. But she didn't. She came again, and again. Some days she brought questions. Some days she brought nothing. Just silence. And slowly, that silence stopped bothering me. she started sitting on the old bench by the shop or by the river, always just being there. No demands, no noise, just presence. One evening, I saw her by the river, sitting on my usual spot, a flat rock that looked out over the water. I walked past her, but she turned and said, "It's beautiful here." I didn't answer. She asked, "Do you come here often?" I nodded. She smiled, then said nothing else. We just sat. The silence didn't feel empty. It felt shared. Days passed, and she became a pattern I didn't want to admit I looked forward to. One day she brought coffee and placed it near my tools. "For you," she said. "I don't drink coffee," I replied. "Then I'll bring tea tomorrow," she said with a smile. And she did. Every day after that, a new cup. She'd never asked for anything, never expected me to talk. But I started looking at the door before she walked in. I started noticing the way her hair caught the light, the way she looked at the world like it was worth noticing. One evening, she was late. I tried to ignore it, told myself it didn't matter. But when she finally arrived, she was holding a small box. "For you," she said. "Open it later." I waited until I was alone. Inside was a keychain, a small silver key on a black string. Simple, like me. I didn't understand why, but I held it longer than I meant to. The next day, she acted like nothing had happened. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. Then one day, rain hit the town like a memory you can't escape. The shop was quiet. My father went home early. I stayed behind, listening to the rain on the roof, thinking she wouldn't come. But she did, soaked, smiling. "You're still here," she said. "You're wet," I replied. She laughed, and I handed her a towel. We sat in the quiet until she asked, "Do you ever feel lonely?" I wanted to say no, but she looked at me, really looked, and said, "But you let me stay." I didn't answer, because she was right. Weeks passed. Then one evening she asked, "Do you ever want to leave this town?" I said, "This is my home." She smiled. Home isn't always a place. I didn't understand, but I kept thinking about it, about her. And then one night, as the sky turned pink and orange over the river, I sat beside her and asked, "Why do you come here every day?" She looked at me and said, "Because I want to." I said, "You don't even know me." She whispered, "Maybe I do." And for the first time in my life, I believed it. Then came the night that changed everything. She was quieter than usual, sitting on the bench, eyes lost in the water. I sat beside her and asked, "What's wrong?" She hesitated, then said, "If I left one day, would you miss me?" The question punched through my chest like a fist. I wanted to lie, to protect myself, but I couldn't speak. She smiled, the saddest smile I've ever seen, and said, "It's okay. I already know." And the next morning, she was gone. No tea, no smile, no Claire, just the bench. And on it, a small note. I had to leave. But I was right. You'll miss me. And I did, with every part of me. I missed her voice, her silence, her warmth, her presence. I sat with the keychain in my hand that night and realized something I never believed before. That a heart, no matter how tightly closed, can still be opened. And when it is, it remembers. It aches. And it loves. If this story touched your heart, even for a moment, if you felt seen, if you felt less alone, or if a quiet part of you whispered, "I've been there," then maybe this place, this channel was meant for you. Subscribe. Not just to follow stories, but to be part of something real. Something that understands the silence we carry. I'll be here, telling stories that feel like home. And I'd love for you to stay.